Hello! It's been a little while since my last Exerd tournament report, but I've got a good one for you today. This is the TREEsports Invitational bracket that I played in about a week or a week and a half ago. I went pretty far, and so I have a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, I can't use the in-game replay viewer because a recent rollback update meant that a lot of the replay files that I generated from playing the online matches for this bracket are just bugged now, or they don't work, or they're not present in my replay history at all. So I'm going to have to commit a cardinal sin of a YouTuber and take a live stream broadcast and then go over that and cut it up into pieces. Hopefully you can forgive me. I also wanted to point out that my compressor and microphone settings are different, which you've probably noticed. If you like it, tell me. If you don't, tell me. I'm curious to know how this sounds to someone who's used to listening to my voice. It's all numb to me because I hear myself all the time. Without further ado, let's get to the viewing. Round 1 is versus Ryan Duggan 0, or just Sunny D. I think that's what he was in the tournament. I had never heard of him before, and I had never seen him around, and I had never seen his name come up in any of the matchmaking discords I'm in. So to be honest, I wasn't expecting much, which is why I just play really passively at the start of the round here. Throw some needles, see what happens, he just gets hit by them. I was also not really playing well at this point in the tournament. I had not properly warmed up, even though I'd been online for a little while. The thing about that is that I have this weird thing where I just don't really like putting in effort, even though I do enjoy fighting games. So if I can identify, or if I get the impression that my opponent isn't very good, or if he doesn't know the matchup, then I just don't really like doing anything more than I absolutely need to. In that situation, with the orb on him, Sunny D could have done, he could have done dead angle, blitz, a variety of different things, but he just stood there and took it. And that, combined with his overall strange playstyle, is something that made me wonder, is he a Strive player? Ignore that double jump I just did, that was a complete misinput, I'm just bad. Also ignore that combo becoming a frame trap, I'm also just bad. Yeah, and you can see that he was mashing, so he gets caught by the scratch. Overall, this match goes pretty well for me, but I think it indicates that I was playing kind of shaky, and that I wasn't taking the event as seriously as I should have, which comes back to bite me later. I will give him credit for trying to jump into that glide string. That's generally a pretty good thing to do, and he does mash on the dust, which is good. The only thing is that he doesn't really seem to be comfortable in neutral. Like, I don't know what his plan is in neutral. So we got a nice little needle YRC glide string there. I set up the orb, and he tries to mash into it, I think, and by that point I was already close to him, and the orb hits him, or I hit him. One of the two. Yeah, sometimes Raven's glide strings can be weird and somewhat inconsistent on crouching opponents, although that generally does not happen on Sin. And at this point I'm sort of getting used to his patterns, so I'm just rinsing and repeating the same glide string, but somehow I get hit by Sin's 6P back there, and somehow I get hit by Sin 5D. But again, he just, he doesn't follow up, he's not used to the game, or he's maybe not thinking too much, and I take the second game. Round 2 versus Deku. Now, if you saw the broadcast live, or if you've watched the video, you kind of know how it all goes if you watch the video. But this is a matchup that I historically do pretty well in. I think I beat Deku more often than I lose to him, but something about the way he was playing today, or the way I was playing, meant that happened differently. So I mashed there because I got the impression that he was going to go for a throw. There's something about the way that he ran up and did the 2K that I just thought meant throw. And I was trying to jump out there because I thought he was going to do the throw again. And now he's got me in the corner, blocking all this mix-up. And he goes for an air dash with the disc on me. And that's important because I'm so used to people doing different things that I was unprepared for him to repeat that situation and do the same thing in subsequent situations. So the next time he has me in the corner with the disc on me, he's going to go for a high, and I'm just not going to block it. Sorry, an air dash, and I'm just not going to block it. Anyway, I get some nice set play going here. I managed to crank half his risk bar. It's a bit difficult to extend pressure as Raven because he's not particularly good at it because of his lack of plus frames. Anyway, I have a sizable life lead and I've forced Deku's burst out from him and I get a counter hit and this crouching combo. And I try to run up and do a throw and he throws me, the classic. Now I'm in the corner again and he goes for the air dash again. You can see I'm blocking the initial overhead hit and I come down with a jump kick there, but the air dash afterwards is opening me up. And again, he's just doing lows because he knows that I'm kind of twitchy. And it's, you know, it's working out for him. He gets me in the corner now. Does not spend meter to combo. I thought he might have, but I guess he felt pretty comfortable. Digitalis RC. Deku loves the old Digitalis RC. And I thought that I misjudged the point in the combo there to burst. I thought he was going to do jump the air dash forward, but he did something that felt a little bit different from Millia's normal air combos. So instead, I whiff my burst, look like an idiot, and he takes the first round. Millia is not a particularly hard character to burst, I think. She commits to air dashes a lot in her combos, and whenever she does commit to an air dash, you can burst her. And then there are some burst points like that, like close slash or her general air or general ground combos. That said, you really want to think about how you're going to burst against her, because if you don't burst properly, then it's kind of a disaster, because you really have to make the most out of all your defensive mechanics against her. I get a nice little whiff punch with 2H there. Unfortunately, I don't confirm off my combo and go for a throw reset, which is another stupid mistake that I shouldn't have done. He did actually go for the low option in the air dash mix that time, although I dead angled out of it, spent all my meter, spent 50 of it, which is all I had. I think after I landed that JD, I tried to go for a glide, because you can generally do that if you recover, if you cover in the air, but it didn't work out. Now I'm being thrown in the corner, Bad Moon, and he's getting an air combo off of this, so he gets to set up Secret Garden. I blocked the first couple of hits, and then I get counter hit at the end. So it's weird, he opened me up twice with the Secret Garden, but it didn't actually lead to a combo in the normal way that Secret Garden does. Round start for him has been a lot of just movement, and I've just been whiffing a lot of buttons. You can see I elect to put the slow buff on him there. Doesn't work out for me. And he does something that Millia is very good at, which I'm always annoyed by, which is that he tries to cross under and anti-air me. And then when he had the pin there, he was going, I knew he was going to do roll, and I think he knew that I knew that, so he did roll into 5D, which got him this whole situation because of whiff punish by mash. Anyway, my blitz gets me out of there. I'm spending all this meter just for a chance at life. And this is my chance at life, but unfortunately that blitz is going to do it for him to get out of the Yokizeme. And at this point I'm just desperately nervous, trying not to lose immediately. The fact that he doesn't have the pin is actually pretty big. At the very end there, I think I had done landing recovery. I think I had landing recovery because I had done needle or something similar, and that's what caused me to get hit by the 6P. I was thinking 2K because I saw him start the run, and I knew he was going to commit to the end of the run. But unfortunately, I'm pretty sure Millia's 6P was done early enough that it would have hit me out of 2K anyway. So well played to Deku. He played very well that round, and he played very well both games, and he played very well this tournament. And I was definitely not in the shape to beat him. Round 3 versus Zorro. I've actually been mentoring Zorro a little bit because I play Haehyun as a secondary and he really likes Haehyun. She's the reason that he wants to play Exerd, which is really cool. A lot of people enjoy playing Exerd for the more common characters like Exerd Soul or Exerd Kai, because Kai's really good in Exerd. It's probably the best he's ever been as a character relative to the rest of the cast. But unfortunately, Haehyun doesn't quite get the love she deserves, so it's nice to see people who are actually trying to play the character. And I say that as I'm attempting to have a one-player game and prevent people from playing the character. You may notice that Zorro is, well, he comes from Strive, I'll say that much, so his neutral is not really focused on movement, which is not really too big a deal if you're playing Haehyun because she doesn't move very well. But if you're playing a Guilty Gear in general, it's important to know how you can move and how you can threaten with air dashes and stuff. And you can see he's really just interested in sort of sitting still and putting stuff on the screen. and Raven 5P is going to bail me out. And there, I did 2K2S2H, which is not a combo on standing opponents. I was just trying to do a block string, I guess. That's another indication that I'm not playing well. I'm just not confirming into combos and stuff, because I could have done 2K2D, or 2K2S2D, or 2K2S, I think 5H would have connected at that range. But I don't, so whatever. I will say that I'm not getting like incredibly good punishes on all the stuff that Haehyun is doing. I should be like set playing her to death off of all of this. But I do have a sizable life lead, although that doesn't matter too much in this matchup. I will give Zorro credit. That's the second time in a row he's done the good Oki, where you get the throw into red ball into 2K5H, and only the overhead hit of 5H connects. It's very important to know how to do that as Haehyun. Just barely missed my whiff punish with the 5H there, that's a shame. I think I hit him out of a misinput for super there. I'm just teching forward buttons like a madman. And this is kind of weird. I'm positive that Raven's orb goes away when he blocks. Like, I'm positive that it goes away. And yet, I was in block stun, or hit stop, or block stop, and Haehyun extended her hurt box into the orb. I guess it was one of those weird things where a lot of different things happen on the same frame, and because maybe Super Flash was involved and a projectile was involved, it was a bit different from usual. Whatever. There's me not finishing my combo. I did 2 RS5H and I just didn't combo. There's me anti-airing with 5P again. I love Raven 5P, it's probably one of my favorite buttons. I get the glide cancel there, and I do a real combo, which is something I should be doing more. Again, glide cancel, real combo, I should be doing more of that. I actually get the glide drop there, which was the glide hit, or into canceling into a normal and then hitting the ground. That's one of Raven's most powerful mix-up opportunities, or mix-up options. Zorro mashes out with the classic Haehyun 2P, and I was not mediating it, so it beats me. And that's what this kind of stuff is what I'm talking about. He just goes for that kind of like random jump. And you can do that in Guilty Gear, I do that plenty, where you just don't know exactly what to do, so you just go for some kind of jump nonsense. But I think for someone like Haehyun, it's really, really important to get those hits and to confirm them and have a game plan. I tried to run through the orb there, got clipped. I believe I get hit? No, I don't. Because I went for the glide cancel off of that orb, and that made me recover in time not to get hit by the clap. Again, Raven 5P, let's give it up for Raven 5P. It's no force break door, but let's give it up anyway. I think I get hit by this. I'm doing 2K or something? No, still. Yeah, just regular old whiff punish with 2H. And that's the thing about Zorro. He's not like a terrible player, and if you watch some sets that happen after this, which he played at the second to last, or maybe the third to last first to 5 series, he actually has improved a lot, and his decision making has improved a lot, so I want to give him credit for that. But in a matchup like Haehyun versus Raven, it's not so much about having like a general idea, it's a more of an idea, or more of a... It's more the kind of matchup where you need to make the singular correct decision and then ride that to victory. In Raven's case, that's usually putting him into block stun, or like in Haehyun's case versus Raven, that's usually putting Raven into block stun and mixing him to death, or just taking 70% of his life off of a counter hit and then stunning him. Unfortunately, that did not happen for Zorro, so it was kind of scrambly and sort of this one-for-one kind of matchup, and Raven will generally win that against most characters. Round 4 versus Potato, the Sin player. She's actually someone I've met in real life, and I've played against in real life a few times. You've seen her in the first to 5 brackets as well. She's also a Strive player by trade, I guess. She's from Strive, which does interesting things to the way that she plays Exerd. I've noticed that among Strive players, there's a very particular way they approach Exerd and Guilty Gear, which I guess is just Exerd and plus R. And mostly that just, it completely screws with my interpretation of how people are supposed to play the game, like quote-unquote supposed to. There's a lot of like one button at a time because of Strive's limited Gatlings, There's a lot of like doing weird special moves at times where it doesn't seem to make any sense. I missed my glide there, I'm bad. Anyway, I decided just to go for the set play here. Though I don't set up the orb correctly because I'm bad. Again, like, that eat was... I believe that eat was unnecessary and it accomplished nothing. And yet, Jocelyn will definitely just do that. Sorry, Potato will definitely just do that. Anyway. I go for the high into mid there. The no mix-up at all, because I'm bad. Beak Driver, not even Beak Driver. Beak Driver is not even a big deal for Raven in this matchup, but Elk was giving me conniptions because it's so active it was catching me on my dash. I spent some meter there just to do nothing, basically. And Potato stands up into the needle at the end of the Elk hunt. So that gets me the first round. And that was a pretty nice whiff punish on Bull Bash, if I do say so myself. And I go for the 5k mix-up there instead of 2k because I'm bad and I mistimed it. That was actually an OTG burst, so I couldn't have gotten a combo there anyway. Good on Potato to jump out of my command grab, although now she's just doing pressure. That is only special moves, now she just can't do another special move, so I'm just putting her in a block stun. Attacking forward because nobody punishes me for it. And I felt pretty happy about landing this, which I know is stupid because like it's just a meter dump kill, like why? But there's something about Raven's super motion that's been giving me trouble. I guess I've just been playing badly. I don't want to repeat myself, but I was really happy that I landed that properly and spent all my resources in the proper way to do as much damage as possible and kill. However, you may have noticed there were a couple of times where Potato was doing weird stuff like just 5H in neutral for no reason or just eat for no reason, and that stuff is... like, that stuff really overloads my mental stack because I am definitely a mental player more than a physical one, and I'm very bad at getting a read on people who just, I don't know what they're doing, or even they don't know what they're doing. But whatever, 5H solves all of Raven's problems, and I'm just doing block strings into 2H, because there's a small gap there, so it'll hit people who are trying to hold up and jump away. Go for the nice Orboki this time, I go for the slightly easier combo. When you do the glide scratch in the corner like that as Raven, you can do microdash 5k jump or microdash 5k close slash jump. And the close slash is technically a little bit more damage, but the 5k is much more consistent because you don't have to get into the initial slingshot part of Raven's dash in order to do it. So I've been trying to do that more and just get the consistent Oki, because the like trivial amount of damage that you get off of a glide or off of the close slash is not worth it compared to getting good Oki. Here I kept expecting Potato to do something weird like eat, and she does, but she also YRCs it afterwards, which is actually pretty good. And so by that point I was already like just so overloaded that I wasn't ready to punish her when she did eat in a bad way. This orb, okay, yeah, it does cover me, but I go for a poor mix-up there, and I end up getting thrown. And I'm mashing here because I'm just bad. Fortunately for me, Potato kind of screws up that combo. Fortunately for me, Raven 2H is very good against characters like Sin, who have these obnoxious mid-pokes that don't hit all the way to the ground. I elect not to burst here. I don't know what that I don't know what that Hawk Beaker was supposed to be.
Oh, fuck.
And the classic anti-air with 50 meter that Sin has is going to take the round for Potato. I'm sorry. I'm used to calling her by her real name, but the Potato is the name that's on the screen. I'm getting like flung around here with a couple of large hits, but no combos and no huge damage, which is kind of a big deal for when you play Sin, because you need to make those hits count. We're just trying to feel each other out in neutral. I think the initial time that I dashed through Elk made me overestimate how reliable that was. I just go for the scratch loop here and I don't screw it up, like unlike I did the first time. And again, like stuff like this, where the Sin player just does like jump H that's way too high to potentially connect with me, is so weird, because like I'm just not used to it. I'm just not expecting it. And yeah, Potato going for the special move into special move pressure. I burst, and now she has no meter at all. And I get this nice opening. And I tried to go for Needle YRC out of a glide there, because one of the most annoying things Raven can do neutral is Needle, and Needle YRC is even better than that. But it didn't quite work out for me. I try to force a mix-up here, and it does quite work. It does work, but I don't quite get the combo out of it. And I've been playing pretty decently, but the dash far slash from Potato is going to get her game too. See, that round was a good example of Potato playing well, because her pressure wasn't good. She, like, depleted her entire food gauge for basically no reason. But after that, she realized that she didn't have the food to just be throwing around special moves. So, therefore, she stopped doing it. And I was living in the past thinking, okay, she's bad, she's gonna throw out a special move, right? Anyway, I finally get a nice anti-air with 6p, and I get a nice combo. 2D scratch works on Sin, I'm bad, so I miss my glide. And I think I was kind of frustrated there, so that's why I burst. And I wisely do not run into Beak Driver. Cross-up jump Thea, that's a weird one. I throw Potato out of the corner, and I decide to go for the Super Ender just to ensure I have Oki. I miss my glide input again. I don't know what it is. I've never really enjoyed sticks as an input device, but man. I also let Potato get away with murder there in that block string. And I'm trying to keep everything burst safe here. Yeah, and again, I screw it up. So I could have just done, at the end there, jump SD into Super and killed, but I was thinking I need to maximize the number of hits. So I went for jump SPSD, which doesn't quite work. Nearly costing me the round, or could have cost me the round. Not confirming into my combos, not confirming into anything, because I'm just not playing well at this point in the tournament. Elk catches me out of my backdash, and I get smacked out of the air by Bull Bash, but again, see, Potato misses her input and gets the regular jump H instead of jump 6H, so I'm out of the combo. And Raven's pretty good at getting past projectiles. The eat from Potato is not amazing there. Yeah, and I kind of screwed up my combo because I wasn't sure if the regular glide scratch was going to give me enough hit stun to properly combo into 5k. But Potato is a Strive player, so teching out of the air is not in her blood. She's not, like, used to doing it. That triangle jump I did there was my attempt to whiff punish something, or to encourage a whiff punish. Speaking of doing bad things with block strings, I really probably shouldn't have done that orb. I expected... So the reason I didn't immediately run into punish at the end there was because as long as Sin connects with one part of his RTL, he can do the other one. He can do the follow-up part. So if he connects with the first, he can do the second, and if he connects with the second, he can do the third. And I thought that Potato was gonna do that, you know, towards me and then away from me, connecting, and then towards me again. But she wisely decided to, you know, just take the punish, I guess, or try to escape, and not, like, hand it to me. So I had to work a little bit for it at the end there, but I was able to clutch it out and stop my repeated excruciating misplays from costing me the game. So good games to her. Round 5 versus Identity Unknown. If you watched my run in the plus R bracket that we had, I guess a month and a half ago, or maybe a month ago, Identity Unknown was actually the guy who put me into losers in the first round and maybe the second, and I faced off against him in Grand Finals in the run back. He is a Potemkin in all games player. I think he started with Strive, although I'm not 100% sure. But I do know that he plays Strive, plus R, and Exert, and he plays Potemkin in all of them. So it's weird because he has like the good Potemkin fundamentals, but then he'll just do like 2H there. I think that was maybe supposed to be Hammerfall. Not 100% sure. This matchup is like you'd think that Raven would win the matchup because his neutral is so good, and generally if you have better neutral you win. And that's somewhat true, but Raven doesn't have amazing ways to deal with Hammerfall. You see me with punishing the end of Hammerfall or like interrupting the attack there, not actually beating the move itself. Because Raven Far Slash does not lead to amazing options for beating Hammerfall. Off this throw, I just take the damage. Anyway, so not being able to deal with Hammerfall is actually like kind of a huge deal for Raven because he is trying to keep Potemkin away from him at all times. And the reason why I'm just getting hit here again and again and again is because I'm mashing reversal super. And if you were there for the VOD, or there for the tournament run, you would see me and hear me complaining about trying to mash reversal super. Not because I necessarily think it's like an amazing idea, but simply because I wanted to establish that I was going to, and at least put that there. Now the reason why I went for the /2H there is because I wasn't sure if 2D would connect, and that was like a conscious decision on my part rather than an autopilot. However, I think if I was going to do that, I probably should have done something else off of /. I screw up my combo there. Mega Fist over my 2H, very nice. I'm blocking grappler set play, please help. Please help, I don't want to block grapplers, please help me. And kudos to ID Unknown, he goes into the better of the combo options there. And finally, I do reversal super just to prove to myself that I can, although it's not a reversal, which means he wasn't truly meeting me, but it's all good. And I think, yeah, so I backdashed very nicely past over the slide head, and I get it. What could have been a nice jump in to start pressure there. Unfortunately, I didn't really capitalize on the jump in because I was so nervous, and he takes the first round and the first game. I think between games I usually have a little sip of water, so I was trying to mentally cool myself down and physically cool myself down as well. That TK scratch was just meant to beat the 2P. It happened to work out that I got a counter hit, although I was so far away from the wall I couldn't have gotten a combo, I think. Pot was crouching there, I actually could have gotten a bigger combo, but it's fine. As long as you can loop this mix-up on him, like, as long as you can make it annoying for him to do stuff, then that's fine in the matchup. Because your #1 goal as Raven is just not to take risks, and not to give Potemkin the opening he needs to do his one-hit touch of death stuff against you.
Okay, right.
And you can actually do a glide scratch combo off of Pot properly there. It's just difficult because he's a heavyweight, and I wasn't used to it. JD is coming in clutch and giving me a ton of mileage this game. Because it's very nice, because Potemkin wants you to come close to him so he can get a meaningful combo off of his 6B anti-air. But Jempty will generally reach down and hit him out of that pretty well. And unlike +R, his 6B is not jump cancelable, unfortunately. I think Pot could have a jump cancelable 6P and it would be okay. Anyway, I do some stupid stuff here. I assumed that he was going to do another move on the way down, like jump H or another jump D. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out and I get pot bustered. Fortunately, the 6PH throw option select saves my life from that jump. Unfortunately, my decision to stay on the ground does not save my life from the 2P tick throw into pot buster. So I mentally buckle down here a little bit and say, alright, you know, you can have your little dash up throw at the start to get excitement, to get a bit of damage in space, and you can do some Oki, but like, man, you've really got to be careful here because you literally just cannot afford to lose this round. And so now I'm going back to what worked for me before, which is put the orb just outside of flick range and then keep doing mix-ups. I don't know if it's like truly going to beat what Pot does, but you know, it seems to be working for me.
God. Oh.
Hammerfall, YRC into Potbuster. I don't agree with spending this meter personally. Like, it's nice to have the corner carry, but I'm not quite in the corner, and he has no meter now. So now I can spend dead angle freely and just not have to worry about it. Yeah, you saw there the far S into 2D didn't quite work, and that was something I was aware of earlier. So now I'm just trying to play lame, throw needles at him, and make the best of my corner pressure, or make the best of my corner positioning, and that's what I do. I think if Pot had stayed, I think if ID Unknown had stayed on the ground there, then my dash jump forward, jump S probably would have eaten shit by Pot 6P. Fortunately for me, he went into the air, so it worked out. Now we're going into the last game. Round start has mostly been like Mega Fist or something from him. He keeps committing to that sort of idea by doing by doing flick, which is sort of well, it's kind of an attack, it's kind of a reflector, it kind of slices, dices, does whatever you want. Yeah. So at this point, I'm just thinking, okay, it's good for me when I mix him, and I have a bit of time to play with. I have like a game to play with. So what happens if I just try to mix him normally? And unfortunately for me, he throws me, and now he heat knuckles me. So he gets a, well, he actually doesn't get a chunky meter because he wire seed, but I'm able to escape without too much damage incurred. I blitz here. He does not blitz back. One thing I will say that's nice about Raven in this matchup is that you can very easily cover Pot's backdash by doing a glide, simply because Raven's glide and the normal that he does out of it are so active. Again, I'm just not comboing. But being able to apply safe pressure to Potemkin is very, very nice. And you can see I'm willing to spend 50 meter on, or I guess I wanted to spend 25, but I'm willing to spend 50 meter on the needle just so I can go in against him. Because this matchup is won and lost based on how often Potemkin gets to punish Raven for being greedy. And if you can spend meter to ensure that it's not greedy, it just works, then that's good. Here ID Unknown is just like holding forward a bunch and getting hit by a bunch of things that are not like crazy good mix-ups, but I guess are sort of working out. Unfortunately for me, I don't actually have that much of a life lead because Potemkin with Guts is just a lot of health. Again, I screw up the combo. I should be doing the 5k just a little bit earlier. And this is the part where I started to get a little bit nervous because I understood that it was kind of like he has the life lead, basically. He has more life than I do. Even with Raven Guts, I think Pot's defense modifier and his Guts are going to give him the life lead here. So it's going to take more for me to kill than it will for him. And I'm just not willing to go in. I'm just going to back up. Like, I don't even want to go close to you in the corner. I'm just going to throw needles at you. And I think the fact that he's not like a super experienced player means that he's getting hit trying to flick these needles. They seem pretty predictable in hindsight, so I don't know what was up with that. I'm not sure what was up with him spending 50 meter there either. You can also see me fishing with jump D. Oh, and here I noticed that he has very little meter, so I try to chip him to death, doesn't quite work, and then I go for the jump D. And I mentioned when I was doing the stream that the jump D there wouldn't have hit him if he was doing a 6P, but I was expecting him to do something that wasn't 6P, or I was just hoping to clip him with the... I was hoping to just clip him for one last hit, and that's exactly what happened. I'm not sure what he was doing there, but if it had been 6P, he definitely would have tagged my jump D. But from that distance, it's hard to get a read on what I want to do and to know that 6P is the correct thing to do. So that was another kind of dicey game, but well played to ID Unknown. Round 6 is me versus Francie, which somehow worked out because even though Deku was playing very well against me, he was not playing as well against Francie. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how that works out, but hey, it worked out for me. So that round start interaction you saw there with 5k into /, that's actually something character specific against Faust. Raven 5k will go over Faust 2p and counter hit him out of it, or whip punish him. And then you can combo into S to H scratch from round start. So it's a really powerful thing. But generally Francie is kind of just flailing like a retard at any given moment in time. So I wasn't ready for that to connect in the way that it did. That's something about Francie that I'm always not used to. Like, he does not respect people in the way that you would expect somebody who plays Faust to. Like, Faust is a character who thrives a lot off of being safe. I do something stupid here and it's fine. But Francie is just constantly pushing buttons all the time and always trying to press his advantage. And if he had like good pressure, then that'd be one thing, but he generally doesn't. And I got a kill there if I'd done a different combo, but I wasn't paying attention. Fortunately, / takes the round. Speaking more to Francie, if you've seen him in the First to 5 series, you probably saw him going up against me and Deku and Rune and generally not competing with us. But like, he is actually one of the better players in our scene. It's just that against other people who are around his level and who are like better at punishing him for not sitting still and like twitching constantly, he generally doesn't keep up. Because he plays a lot of different games, and I think he's not, as much as he enjoys Exert, it can be hard to change your habits in a game like this. Goodness knows I struggle with that anyway. So, level 3 scratch will actually put you into tumble there on counter hit, which is pretty neat. And unfortunately, I think I was a little bit too far away. That happened a while ago anyway. Desperate throw mash, and I go for the longer combo here just to make sure the mini Faust on the ground doesn't screw things up. And I swear to God, I must have like some kind of reverse psychic powers, because every single goddamn time that I try to go for meaty 2H into command grab, it never works. People always mash and they get counter hit, or they backdash and they get hit airborne, or they just get hit because they're not blocking, as you saw. I cannot remember the last time meaty 2H into command grab actually worked for me. Anyway, speaking of things that work, that command grab did not work, so that kind of sucks. Yeah, and I go for the sweep ender there so that I'm not putting my hurt box down into the mini Faust. Yeah, both Francie and I are comfortable just being in full screen, because I know that if I hit him with a needle, I get to do all this. Yeah, so I'm eager to take my turn back after blocking the scalpel skewer. Yeah, you can see I'm rushing in every time. I should probably... well, it would have been better if I had rushed in and pushed a button a little more preemptively, because it's minus, but it's not like quite that minus. Anyway, the weight and the poison give Francie a nice little opening here. Unfortunately, I squander my opportunity to get out of the corner. That was a very strange interaction. Don't ask me what happened or why it worked or anything, because I could not tell you. And that time I read the wake up mash, and 6H from Raven would have killed Francie, but unfortunately I mistimed it, so that was on me. Decent throw on my part, I get a scratch loop. Yeah, and the mini Faust kind of forces me to back off there. I'm at least forcing Francie to approach in a particular way with these glides, but, well, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I have to be mindful of how I play neutral because of the mini Faust there. That YRC was kind of stupid, and me missing my glide input was even dumber. Probably could have gone for a scratch there, or maybe 2D command grab. As I pointed out in the video, or in the stream, when I was playing this, Raven can actually do 2D into anti-air grab against Faust, because Faust's air hurt box is just that big when he pops onto the ground. I don't go for it here, though. Because it's, yeah, and unfortunately that kind of thing can happen. Two completely random hammers, and Francie's almost winning this round. And his bomb punishes my dead angle, and he hits me with 6H, the good old online unblockable. Very skillful round from Francie. Very nice of him to pull those numbers out of his ass. I'm mad? Who would be mad about something like that? I'm not mad. Also, something I didn't mention this earlier because it's not too relevant, but this is top 4. This is winners semifinals. Whoever wins this losers semifinals. Whoever wins this feeds into the losers finals. So the tournament organizers, for whatever reason, decided to make all of top 4 best of 5, so first to 3. I don't know why they did that, but they did that during the tournament. That's when they made the decision. And they didn't tell anybody. Certainly they didn't tell me, and I was in the tournament playing the match that was affected. So once once the score becomes 2 games for someone, you'll see us play another game for no real reason. That was a very weird glide mix-up on my part. I meant to do needle YRC and then force a steep glide, but I haven't practiced that, so it didn't work. Francie elects to hold on to his burst going into the final round. It's very difficult to burst Raven there. Round start, stance. Francie backs up, tries to reaction punish. I take the tech and go in with a scratch, another scratch. Francie more than happy to back up for his own, yeah, whatever. Anyway, after you saw me block the scalpel thrust there, you saw me do a little bit of a movement forward and then 5H. That was an adaptation from the first time, or the first few times it happened, where Francie was doing scalpel thrust and then run forward far slash to catch me being too predictable. Now I'm in the corner, and I have to block this Mega Faust. Very weird situation with the bomb, but fortunately, far slash will combo properly on crouching, even crouching Faust. Or far slash 2H, I mean. Yeah. You can tell I wasn't into it at the time because because like even doing commentary is making me tired and weird and feeling strange. This is also something I mean about Francie not doing or not being up to the standards of other players around his level. Because a few moments ago he had the opportunity to do, what was it? He did something like 2P2S, or it was like 2Ks or something. He basically had the opportunity with like 90 meter to just spend 50 meter and RC and kill me, but he didn't. And that cost him the round. If you have meter, just dump it. Just do 100 meter combos. They don't have to be optimal, they just have to kill. Anyway, going into game 4, I was a little unsure in the event or in the moment what happened or what was going to happen and why we were playing a 4th game. And of course, Danger Time always makes me unsure of what's going to happen. I get counter hit an absolute ton here. I kind of mentally wrote off this this round, and okay, huge scramble, but it's fine. Francie actually managing to block a lot against the 6Hs I'm doing on Wake Up. So the question here is, how do I get out of the corner? Poison's got me blocking. Yeah, and the black hole actually saved Francie there because it pulled me down out of my glide faster. So I didn't have time to do the final jump S and then combo off of it. Nice dash through the far slash there. Nice combo on crouching Faust. And this is the point where we really get to see Francie and I think his questionable habits on defense. Because, you know, whenever I hit somebody with like just a stagger into a low, my assumption is always, what are you doing? Like, what's your actual plan here? And I think in the case of Francie, he doesn't necessarily have one. So one thing I like to do when I set up the orb in that position is go for an empty glide, like a horizontal empty glide, and then do 5D. Because the orb almost totally obscures the dust flash from the dust. Unfortunately, I dropped it there. Anyway, you almost saw me do the cool round start there as well. But I'm just counter poking, and I've got Faust in the corner now, and I'm rinsing and repeating this stuff. Unfortunately, my needle goes right through Mini Faust, because when Mini Faust is falling down, he doesn't yet count as a projectile. It's kind of weird. Good throw on Francie's part. And now he's got me in the corner, but he doesn't have the ability to throw an item. And he spends a lot of meter to just do nothing in my face. I spend some meter to dead angle. Yeah, at this point, Francie has to make a pretty big comeback, and a lot of that comeback is going to be dependent on whether or not he gets good items. He's gotten a couple nice ones so far with the Mini Faust, but I know that he has to be very mindful of the needle because he'll just get chipped to death, so I'm just throwing needle at him. The jump H counter hit is exactly what he needs. Nice chunk of damage and nice combo. And I was actually really worried that he would pick up that food. Fortunately, I picked it up, and the food's really good for Raven because of his high guts. And now I'm just thinking, okay, how do I get out of this corner? How do I kill Francie? And it turns out the Raven's forward dash was the answer to doing that. So that makes the final score 3-1. Even though this really shouldn't have been a 1-3 set, but you know. And now we've got Losers Finals versus Rune, my bracket demon, I guess. I don't think I've ever conclusively beaten Rune in a set. I've made it competitive a few times, but he always seems to get the upper hand on me. I think that's partially because against most of the people in my scene, I can just go in and they don't really do an incredible job of stopping me. But Rune is a bit more mindful than that, and Johnny's incredibly stupid defensive options allow him to escape pressure and escape particular mix-ups with a lot less commitment than most other characters. That's a huge part of the reason why Johnny's the best character. And you saw I just went for the far slash at round start because Rune loves to backdash, because Johnny backdashes like 11 frames total. So it barely has any recovery. One thing that I do pretty well here is that I've identified from playing Rune a lot that he is not particularly good at stopping reglides. You saw me do like far slash or something into a glide, and he's just not ready for it a lot of the time. Unfortunately, I'm not ready for Johnny pressure in the corner, although Rune does drop a couple of confirms there. Spend some meter on a glide YRC. I wasn't expecting that 2H to hit, so I don't combo off of it. Again, you can see something that plagued me at the beginning of the tournament, which is not doing combos properly, is also coming back to bite me here. I'm really glad that that Mistfinder didn't hit me, because now Johnny's actually fairly low on coins and resources. But the round is not looking very good for me. So I'm just trying to throw needles. Unfortunately, you can't really throw needles versus Johnny because of Mistfinder. I screw up my glide there. I was doing it consistently earlier. I was doing it consistently. I was...
Oh, I fucked it.
It doesn't matter.
Oh.
Anyway, Rune takes the game one, or round one, after a bit of a protracted round. And I just have to respect coin. I don't respect the Mistfinder, so I tend to burst on it, which gives Johnny level 3 and puts me in the corner with no burst. And this is kind of not a checkmate, but a very, very good game over situation. That's one thing that did save me a bit, though. Rune was trying to go for these advanced double jump, jump D, re-jump combos on Raven. And apparently there's something about them that makes them a bit more difficult to do on Raven, or he hadn't practiced them. So he was dropping those a fair amount. But he's not dropping the bread and butter stuff like comboing in... Well, I guess he is, and he's giving me a free out. But I mash like an idiot and get hit by Mistfinder, so whatever. See, I got the glide drop that time, and then I did the re-glide pressure. But the glide drop is... it's weirdly inconsistent, so if you're not like actually ready for it, then it can be kind of weird. Just not doing my combos properly. Yeah, just not doing my combos properly again, but I was able to spend some meter and salvage that opening. That's another thing between me and Rune. Like, as much as Rune does sometimes make mistakes and not combo properly, he's way better at confirming than I am. Rare footage of Raven backdash actually working against something like Johnny Far Slash there. Yeah. I tech forward an absolute ton against people. I don't know why. It's kind of an exert thing to do because you have so much invuln on the tech. But I do it more than I should, really. I come down with jump H on the way there because I knew he wanted to air throw me. 6P unfortunately doesn't combo to glide at that distance. Or anti-air grab at that distance. This is another thing that Rune does, where he will always blitz back. I decide to spend the meter to get the better knockdown now. And of course I screw up my Oki, but it's all good. And again, you see Rune just not really that prepared to deal with glides, so even the shitty glides are doing well for me. I also want to talk about that counter hit scratch I got in player 1 corner. I knew that that was going to be a counter hit scratch because I thought it was going to mash throw, which is why I did it. However, I was not ready for the height and angle that it sent Johnny at, and so I got this impression that it was going to put him out of the corner, or I would have to do something weird for the combo. But I should have known better, because at that height, scratch is a guaranteed knockdown, so I have all the time in the world. So if I just waited a little bit and done S, either close or far S, into 5H into a jump combo, he would have been dead. And I wouldn't have had to go around the rest of the screen to seal around eventually. Again, you can see how different it is for me and Rune. Rune is a lot more willing to just not do stupid stuff all the time, I guess. And I'm trying to force stupid stuff, again, which is just doing 2D orb and then going for a glide. And Rune's getting a bit to mashing, so instead of doing the glide, I go for the grab there and it works. I'm going for reglides here. And I'm finally forcing the burst out of Rune. Yeah, I'm being very, very mashy on defense. Stalling in the air as much as I can, but Raven does eventually have to come down, so Rune gets a nice combo. Screws up his combo a bit, spends a meter to make the Okizeme good, and I actually whiff punish missed Finder with the glide. I was really happy about that. But Rune doing a very good job adapting to my stupid orb stuff and just backdashing and anti-airing me with 5p. I could have killed there. I actually could have killed. I could have done 5H into RC and just dash up and kill. Fortunately, I get a hit immediately afterwards, and things are looking pretty good for me. And I use stance for the first time in a little while to absorb one of the hits. I thought Rune would backdash there because he was expecting... I thought that he would be expecting the grab. Unfortunately, he was not, so if I just done the regular grab, I think he would have gotten hit. And at that point, I'm just mashing mindlessly, and now I get thrown. Again, Rune will always blitz back. Yeah. I think the reason I didn't do anything on Wake Up against the Unblockable is because I was waiting for the coin, and I was trying to react to the coin, but he just did 2S. It was supposed to be meaty 2S, but he missed his meaty timing. Mashing throw gets me a little bit of mileage, and I decide to spend some meter. Going for the glide, Yeah, that's it. Rune, very good on him. He played very defensively there, because if he had done something stupid, then that would have really... That's how he loses the round, essentially. I don't know why I did 5D there. I think it was... I really have no idea. I deny the coin there, so at least he doesn't get the coin off this knockdown. And he's just at level... Well, he was at level 1. I traded with coin, unfortunately, which means he's at level 2 now. Yeah, and I tried to go for a throw there, but of course Johnny backdash. You know, he can do a backdash and then still be comfortably in range to kill you for attempting to throw him. And I think that interaction made me really annoyed, so I was just not being mindful on defense. And now the score is 1-1. That's something about Johnny. I think I'm a pretty decent player at this game, but there are so many little things where I could do something smarter and just wait. But there's like this pressure on me, or there's this weight on me that makes me feel I need to do something. Danger time. It's going to benefit me just a little bit. And I just decided to block string him to try to run out the danger time timer. Because if I do something stupid and mash like this, then that's going to be extremely bad for me. So I almost had the right idea. Or rather, I had the right idea, almost had the right execution. And good on Rune to get out just outside of the jump D range and then punish me with all of this. And I knew he was going to blitz back at this point, so I just did the charge blitz hold. I'll also give Rune credit for doing a lot of what is it? He does a lot of stuff where he will...
Oh.
Well, he won't drop his combo like that. That's what I was going to say. One thing I'm trying to give Rune credit for is that he's very aware of when I'm minus on block, like after Scratch or after Needle or something, and he's almost always willing to dash forward after. Sorry, I was a bit transfixed by my own complete ineptitude and not taking my own advice, because I had the opportunity to kill there by just meter dumping and I didn't, and now the entire round spiraled out of control, and I'm willing to spend Gold Burst because I'm just so desperate, and it doesn't work out. Kids, don't do what I did, okay? Just do a combo. Just do your combo and learn how to do your combos. And Rune likes to backdash at round start so much you can see me actually getting some mileage out of dashing after him. That's really bad, because against anything that Johnny does that isn't a dash, I'll just run into it and get hit. Yeah. Speaking of getting hit, this hurts. This hurts a ton. And he goes for the... Well, he would have gone for the unblockable. Yeah, the risk-reward versus for these two characters is really, really obvious, really skewed in Johnny's favor, as it usually is. For Raven, it's almost always correct and true that he will never be doing as much damage as Johnny does. but he still has to compete in that range. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, how do I possibly get in? But Rune cuts me short, and I don't need to worry about getting in, because I just die. And it goes up 2-1 for Rune. So I think we can clearly say at this point that the first game I took was kind of a fluke. I mean, I do decently well. I do play decently well against Rune, but I was just not in the right mindset to succeed this time. And I think you can see that as the games go on, I'm just sort of just doing things for the sake of doing them. He's way outside of far slash range, so I just throw a far slash and it gets me killed, or gets me hit. I was supposed to be dash up throw, I think, but I missed my input. Yeah, and I'm mashing here. I don't know if it was FD. I think I might have just been actually mashing. Rune going for the fast overhead that Johnny has. Dropping his combo, but it's fine. Yeah, I'm just like mindlessly 2Hing. 2H not actually a very good move versus Johnny. Because it extends Raven's hurt box a little bit, so a lot of Johnny's pokes will, like 2S or 2K even, or 2D will just hit Raven out of the startup or trade with it. Whereas, also Johnny can just forward dash over it, which isn't very good. And again, you saw me try to force the glide. I made like a 40-minute video. Maybe it's not that long. I made like a 20-minute video on why Raven can no longer do 2D into orb into glide, and here I am trying to do it because, I don't know, because I just don't respect Rune, I guess. A lot of trades and counter hits here, but that does benefit Johnny because he gets a coin level, although he spends it there. Another thing about Rune and his bursts that I'm not taking advantage of, because I think I'm just not really worried about trying to big bursts or anything, is that he almost always bursts whenever he gets hit from a like a surprise hit. Like it's very obviously a panic burst. Again, I got the glide drop there. I could have done something off of that with 2K, and I think it would have hit, but didn't quite work out. I go for some needle wire C pressure into scratch into combo ender. Yeah, and I just wire C that to let the needle travel, and Johnny's invuln does not quite last that long, so that takes the round. I go for 2H after the stance there. Terrible idea, because even though the stance locks your opponent in hit stop, it does have a fair amount of recovery. The 2H works out for me that time. The scratch works out for me that time. I don't know what I was doing there. And I'm so used to doing the 2D orb stuff, and I don't know why I am, that I could have actually done 2D scratch there and gotten better set play. But unfortunately, none of that has happened, so now I'm in the corner blocking Johnny pressure. Excitement's training, I've got a few resources. I decided to spend burst rather than the more obvious reversal super. I do jump S as an air-to-air there. That's just mindless stuff on my part. I should be doing jump P as an air-to-air. And I was actually surprised that that killed me. I thought that was going to let me live, but Rune wisely spends his burst, and I'm out of the tournament in third. So that was kind of an ignoble end to my tournament run. I think I played better earlier in the bracket, honestly, against people who were not quite as sharp. But Rune's really good, and he plays really well in a way that I have very great difficulty dealing with. So I want to give him credit for outplaying me. Thanks for watching, and I hope to have some more structured content on the way soon. I know that I've been in kind of a rut the last year, like year and a half, but thanks for all your continued patience.